Okay, my friends. Here it is. Saturday morning live stream at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters. Zone 5. I'm still going to say 5, even though technically now it's just 6. But we don't really know. Nobody knows. So, guys, we got to do the sound check, though, because remember, I went a whole episode with terrible sound. Can you guys hear the whisper? Let me know that you can hear the whisper. Okay, did you guys hear the whisper? Let me know. Okay, let us see who is here. Man, these plants are just growing crazy, which is gnarly because it is so cold in here. Let's see. Okay, good. Kermudge in Alaska says, good morning, Nate. And yes, I heard it. Donald Hughes, yes, he heard it. Terry says, sounds good, buddy. Sounds good. Okay, Genevieve Green, Brian A. Ree, ASMR Viking, that's right, Hogue. Pilar, good to see you guys. All right. 5x5. What's 5x5 exactly? Okay, let me get this thing out of the way a little bit. And so guys, yeah, it's pretty cold in here, actually. Still, it's very cold. So I got my tracksuit on. Got my new tracksuit. I love wearing suits. I call them suits, but this is what I wear all the time. Because after traveling in the world and stuff and seeing how other cultures don't put so much importance on their clothing and stuff, it just really kind of makes it, took all the fun away from like trying to have like a style or anything like that. So I wear the plain stuff all the time. I like it. Oh, 5x5 means sound check. Okay, guys, got you. Yeah, see, I didn't. 5 of 5. Got it. Thank you. Craig Lepla. Hello, my friend. Let's see. Tree Rogi says, LOL, a Viking saying it's cold. Man, if you look at my Facebook page, not the Garden Like a Viking Facebook page, but my personal one, you will see that the classes are going very well. And there is so much ice. It is so cold. Truly cold. As cold as it can get, really, because I put a bunch of Epsom salt into the tub. So it's just like a slushy, it's very cold. The water was like 28 degrees when I tested it. So, yes, guys, it is the middle of winter. So I just want to show you real quick. Look, this is a 100-year-old house. Okay, well, that's not actually bad. It actually has improved. Let's see, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the windows. That's around the windows. 48 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how drafty this 100-year-old Viking longship is. When the wind blows, all the windows rattle. It sounds like we're on the ocean. It sounds like you can hear ropes and men yelling and stuff like that. And waves crashing. It's pretty wild. So, okay. Let us know what you guys are growing. Are you growing indoors right now? Some of you zones, and I know this already, some of you guys are already starting stuff. You're already starting stuff. Now, for a couple of zones, that's fine. But most of the zones, guys, I know that we get overzealous. And what do I say all the time? That it's better to wait a little bit too long than not long enough, because you don't want to be nursing along these plants. I had people talking to me, hey, so I just started up blah, blah, blah last week, my tomatoes and peppers. Oh, well, where are you at? I'm in Ohio. Oh, man, that's not going to work. That's just not going to work unless you're in like Florida or unless you're in someplace, deep south, then that would work. But anyone else, you don't need to start up anything except onions. You can start up onions now, all right? Genevieve says, I'm in Barbados. I can plant anytime. Well, isn't that nice for you? Because we definitely cannot here. Val says, can't find onion seeds that will grow in my northern Arizona area. What do you mean? Australian brown. Absolutely. Get the Australian brown. You could also get I'd have to look on a map to see how far across the line you are. But definitely, I recommend the Australian brown. Try the yellow of Parma as well. Aaron Johnson, good to see you here, my friend, says, I've started my onions. Getting ready to start my tomatoes, pepper, and brassicas by February end. Okay. Do you have experience doing that? Is that how you've been doing it for some time? Because your brassicas, typically you will start a month before you start the tomatoes and peppers and stuff, because the brassicas can be planted out a month before the heat-loving things. So we don't really gain much by pushing it as far as we can to get the tomatoes and peppers out right after the last frost date, because things haven't really warmed up. The soil hasn't warmed up and stuff. So people want to plant so early and then put frost cloths over them, and then they panic when, oh no, we got a late frost and all this stuff. You wanna safeguard yourself, insulate yourself from that kind of thing. Not only does it reduce your stress, but it also will make for stronger, healthier plants. Because, and I've done this over the years so many times, so I know that if you have some, like tomatoes or whatever, the heat-loving stuff that you put in the ground as soon as it's clear, as soon as the last frost, because you've been growing them up and they're all leggy inside, you put them in the ground and the soil hasn't really warmed up. Whereas, so they'll just kind of sit there like, oh man, temperature is very important to these plants, especially the heat-loving ones. And so if you take those plants and then some that you started like just 6 weeks prior to planting out, and you actually waited till about 2 weeks after the last frost date, when the sun is out, everything's getting hot now, the soil's warm, then you plant those, they're actually going to typically grow right past those ones that you were nursing inside for a long time and you put out right as soon as it got hot, warm enough, because they just don't thrive that way. So the tomatoes and the peppers and the eggplants and the cucumbers and the squash and the corn and the summer squash. Oh yeah, remember them patty pan squash we were doing all summer? All that stuff that I just listed, you want to give it a little bit of time, okay? So you're not, especially if you live in a place like northern Indiana, the Midwest. I mean, we got a nice long growing season, and so, but you just have to wait till it warms up. Now, that being said, Tree Rogi says, Moondust, you missed him being cold. Yeah, I didn't say I was cold. I said it is cold. It's a very distinct difference. I didn't say I'm cold, because that's not the case. But anyways, so the brassicas though. Now, we can plant the brassicas out a month before the last frost date, because they don't mind. Not only do they not mind being cold and cool soil, but they actually like that better than the blazing hot. And so it's better, like your peas, even peas and cabbages and your leafy greens, shijimisa, komatsuna, spinach, definitely. I mean, forget about spinach. I don't even grow that anymore. It's just so temperamental. But that stuff appreciates the cold, okay? So you don't want to wait for that stuff. So you can plant that a month before the last frost day, up to a month. 2 weeks is fine as well. So all that stuff that we just said is very important, because that's what gauges, or that's what sets people up for the season. You also, most of us, have plenty of time to plant stuff. So we don't just like plant one time and then everything's done. No, you have the spring planting, which is your summer planting, but then you also have the fall garden, which is actually planted in the middle of summer. So we have to keep all of that in mind. Yeah, Missy Chaco says, still 4 degrees here on the farm. Yeah, here as well. Very cold. Cool. Now, I didn't say I'm cold, but it is cold. So let's see here. Yeah, it's 16 degrees right now. Yep. Been loving the sauna. Been absolutely loving the sauna. But then look, then it's going to get real, just kind of mild. Just highs in the 40s, lows right above freezing or right below freezing. It's going to be real mild. So, at least we had some good. Let's see, Deborah Litke says, where do you purchase seeds for those giant mustard greens? Now, I'd like to purchase all my seeds. Now, I'm not sponsored by these guys. They don't even have a sponsorship program, but I just like them. And I love that they're a family-run business and that they have very good genetics, high-quality seeds. Baker Creek, even though this is like the smallest little seed catalog they've ever had, I love Baker Creek. I really do. So mustards is now the ones that guys, if you haven't grown komatsuna, you need to get on the komatsuna train, definitely. It's an Asian green, and I use it for stir fries, all right? I use it for all kinds of stir fries, and it was delicious, and it was the last thing in the garden to succumb to the cold. So, yes. Moondust says, it's cold here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but it's just tolerable enough to run trash out. Yeah, it's pretty much that cold. Definitely. Aaron says, even my compost froze on the outside. Yes, definitely will. Look to Nature says, have everything for my onion sprouts except seed starting mix. Preferred seed starting mix for the onions, Coir. Guys, if you're going to use Coir or peat, you want to mix in about 10%. Here, I'm not shutting my phone off again. Man, spam. How am I getting spam? Hey, countdown for Valentine's Day begins. Limited time. Hurry. Enjoy 70%. What? How'd you get my number? Why? But anyways, so if you're using Coir, remember Coir, cocoa coir, and peat moss have virtually no nutrients in them, as far as on a potting plant time available. Eventually, they will break down and become nutrients, but that's a long time. Much longer than is going to be on our time frame to be planting stuff indoors. So we want to take some worm castings, mix about 10-15% in there, even 20% if you've got a good connect on the worm castings, which I do. I'm going to do a video here in about a month. I'm going to go back up to the worm farm, the local worm farm. These guys are my friends now and stuff. And we're going to do a tour of it, and I'm going to show it to you guys, show you how they do their worm. It's so simple. It's incredible, actually, how they do it, the simplicity. And so you look out for that video, because you guys will get a lot of good ideas if you want to do it yourself. Also, though, I think that they've got their game set up now where they will be shipping out just bags of it. So maybe I'll put links in the description if you guys want to ship out, if you guys want some of those ones that you see in the video. And that's what I use, and they're really good. And by adding that is going to give your plants, your baby plants, pretty much everything that they need. So you don't really need to worry about it. But you don't want to do just pure cocoa coir unless you are fertilizing with a specific, it's almost like hydroponics then, in a way. Look to Nature was going to supplement from my red wiggler bin. Yes, definitely. Awesome. Says my wigglers are 10 feet away. That's really the way to do it. I mean, of course, if you have that capability and you want to process that, when we get the land and stuff, guys, the ranch, I'm going to duplicate what I see up there, with these guys. I'm just going to pretty much duplicate that on a smaller scale. But that's going to provide just boatloads of stuff, and it's going to reduce so much of the waste. Oh, well, not reduce waste. I don't really waste anything. I compost everything. But still, just the way that they're doing it, just grind up all your food stuff into a slurry, essentially, and pour it over the top. And they just consume it. It's really magnificent. So, Sam Potsix says, I don't care, or I don't know. I love that patchouli smell. How did you know that's what I'm wearing? I wear patchouli, cedarwood, and arborvitae essential oils. The combination of, I love the essential oils. Haven't worn cologne in years. Jeffrey says, can't wait for the worm farm video. Oh yeah, it's going to be cool. We're going to go out and see these guys. Missy Chaco says, Nate, it's so exciting to see your channel growing so fast. You are a precious resource. Well, thank you very much, my friend, and thank you for being here and being a part of it growing. So even though it's taken a dramatic lull over the wintertime, I mean, people aren't really growing, so that's fine. Now, come this year, I've got a plan. The past 2 years, I just kind of, what video am I going to do this week? And it was just got to be a lot. But now I've got it all written out. I know exactly what video, what week of the season, and it's about a 4 months, 5, maybe 6 months where it's going to be hot and heavy. It's going to be a full-length video each Tuesday, and then there's going to be several shorts, at least 1 or 2 shorts, and then the Saturday live stream each week. So, Yes. That's what we're going to be doing coming up. Oh, Sam says, we were talking about the patchouli bush I'm overwintering. Now I want some some oil. Oh, man. Guys, the combination of the three is just such a wonderful, the patchouli, cedarwood, and the aborvite. And I was at this Kroger's the other day, and there was this little old black lady, and she's there at the meat and stuff. And I reached in, by her, and she goes, "Ooh, I smell a man." Just like that. She said, "Is that you, honey?" I said, "Well, I think so." She goes, Like, it was very funny. But that's what people love, the smell. People love the smell, the aroma. Missy Chaco, $30. Thank you very much for the tip, my friend. I appreciate that. Yes, I hope you have a wonderful season, guys. Right now is the time that we need to prepare ourselves for the season. We get the supplies, but more importantly than anything, we get the knowledge. We get the understanding, okay? So go back and watch any of the videos that you need to from last year. I'm not going to redo things like, I might do an onion video just because of the revolutionary, fantastic method that I came up with last year for planting the onions. Yes. For planting the onions. Rune Master says, speaking on cologne, do you use deodorant or something equivalent? Store-bought stuff is so toxic. Absolutely not. I haven't used deodorant in several years since really purifying my diet, because most of that rancid toxicity that you smell from people is toxins leaving the body and an imbalance in the pH, especially if they're accustomed to slathering these toxic chemicals, titanium dioxide and sodium benzoates and all this other stuff in the most absorbing area of the body. Guys, it's insanity. It is insanity to be using deodorant. Don't even get me started on antiperspirant. But yes, there is absolute, you want to expel that stuff from your life. And there will be a little bit of there will be a transition period where the pH and the microorganisms has not balanced themselves out yet. And maybe your diet isn't pure enough yet. But you will, to where it might have that kind of aroma, that kind of odor, but that will balance itself out. Until now, no, I haven't worn deodorant in years. The only thing that I use for anything is essential oils. True, doTERRA or Young Living, that's another really good brand. Those two are like the pure essential oils. It is expensive, yes. It is expensive. Okay, he says Dr. Squatch is mostly pure. Yeah, that Dr. Squatch, my brother just gave me a bar of that to try out. I haven't tried it yet, but I looked at it. The ingredients are pretty good, except for the natural fragrance, of course, which is a blanket term for 10,000 different chemicals. But still, for the most part, that's going to be really good. I use Dr. Bronner's and essential oils. That's it. And good health starts from the inside out. And so good, no rings around the eyes and no super oily or super dry skin, no breaking off fingernails. My fingernails are like knife blades, and they grow so fast, it's just crazy. And they're just super rock solid. So, all of those are good signs. You want all of that. You don't want to have thin, flimsy little tissue paper nails and then like scraggly stuff and, dark circles around the eyes. All of that is indications of mineral deficiencies and toxic buildup. Yes, Kosak Nepi says, would baking soda be okay during the pH rebalancing period to mask the odor? Yes, if you need to do that, yes. If that would be very acceptable, yes. But we do not need, but you will balance out. But the key is to not be having a bunch of toxic things like seed oils, a bunch of Popeye's fried chicken, that's fried in seed oils that is just totally destroying the balance of the body, all right? So, RMO essential oils are very good too. What is that? I've not heard of that. Regina. Sean Murphy says, I haven't used deodorant since COVID came and took away everyone's sense of smell. Nice. Hopefully you've also purified your diet. JB says, best onion from Maryland. Best onion from Maryland, I'm going to go ahead and say is the Weathersfield Red, if you like the red onion, and the Yellow of Parma.
Okay, both of which I grow here, and they are very good. All right, wonderful. In particular, the Wethersfield Red, because it's a historic type onion that they grew in the colonies, the 16, 17, 1800s, all along from New England, Maryland, all the way down, the coast. So you can grow that one, definitely. All right. Sean Murphy says, I love fried chicken. Yeah, fried chicken is not bad. Guys, fried things are not bad at all for you. In moderation, of course, so long as you're using the right ingredients. Everything has to do with the right ingredients. If you're frying it in tallow, pure, grass-fed, grass-finished, 100% pastured tallow, and that's what you're using to fry stuff in, it is a superfood. Literally, then frying the chicken is a superfood. Frying the beef, frying the whatever you want. As long as it's not like taquitos or little, things out of the freezer, that's ridiculous. But if you're frying real food in real oil, absolutely not harmful at all. The opposite of harmful. So beef tallow has a very high smoke point, almost as high as ghee, as clarified butter. So it is very, very high smoke point. And that's what you want. You don't want to be frying stuff in olive oil or any of the seed oils, the peanut oils and stuff like canola oils. Toxic. Olive oil is wonderful though, but you want to consume olive oil raw because it oxidizes very quickly. It has a low smoke point. So that is so olive oil is meant to be added after the fact. When I lived in Greece, the home of olive oil, and they would make their dishes, and then the very last step, they would just slather everything in olive oil, the last step. And and then I learned about that. Also from Honey George. Do you remember the story of last year about the honey? Honey George also had olive trees, and so he explained to me all of this. Big Wes says, my favorite recipe is meat and fire. That's about as good as it gets, for sure. Carol Vance says, I have onions in the ground with mulch, but now covered in snow. Think they will make it? Where are you at? So were you trying to grow short day onions? Or why did you plant them so early? Because it's really early to plant anything outside. But it depends where you're at. So Carol, let me know where you're at, because that will determine the difference. Sean Murphy says peanut oil. Yes, toxic. Sorry. Aaron Johnson says, I made tallow. It does not smell right, unfortunately. I'm going to try again. Yeah, you probably burned it. You probably had too high of heat. And that will, if you're doing lard or tallow and you're rendering it, and you have too high of heat or for too long, then it will sort of scorch it in a way that everything will just taste like fried chicken. If it tastes like fried chicken, then you let it go too hot. And then whatever you cook with it is going to taste like old gas station fried chicken. Or, like when you go into the South, especially like the deep South, Louisiana, New Orleans and stuff. I spent time there, and you go into those gas stations where they just got a huge buffet of fried stuff right in the gas station. And, but then like some of them is like, oh man, you can just smell old oil, old stuff, that smell. And you don't want that. Okay. You don't want anything of that. So you want to do it low of heat as possible. Okay. You want it to look nice, just like this. And this is going to last a long time. All right. This is going to last a long time. Ronald Bay says, is frying in lard okay? Absolutely. Lard and tallow are the two number one things you want to fry in. Okay, this is the food of our ancestors. This organism has evolved, co-evolved alongside animals for thousands and thousands, untold amounts of time. And so our body knows exactly how to handle and process these type of fats. This organism did not evolve alongside seed oils, rapeseed oil, canola oil, vegetable oils even, peanut oils, because the technology to process that kind of quantity in order to make oil and then extract the oil just didn't exist back then, even just a couple hundred years ago. And so now we use, but yet beef tallow and lard, and yes, Aaron said, what about ghee? Yes, ghee and clarified butter, almost the same thing, but not quite. Those are the ones we want to use. Natural, animal-based, so long as the animal is pasture-raised and not pumped full of a bunch of chemicals and stuff like that. That's going to be the highest quality stuff you can get. And if you're frying in that, real lard from pasture-raised animals or real tallow or ghee, then you don't have to have any concern that you're harming your body. Not by the oil or the frying process, because the body loves that. I make that kind of stuff all the time. I fry steak. I cut it thin and mix it with some miso types. There's a preparation process. I do it all the time in different ways. Fry steak, and that's how you can take like London broils and all kinds of different cuts, slice them nice and thin, and fry them in the wok on super high heat with tallow or lard. And delicious. It's absolutely delicious. Yeah, Kermudge in Alaska says, problem is finding an animal that's not pumped full of crud, chemicals. Yes, that is the problem, definitely. But if you can source it, and it's important enough to really make an effort to source it, then you will be rewarded with abounding health. And abounding health, and I know I go on and on about it, but it's so important, guys, because what are we growing? All this stuff, this gardening, all this stuff, it's so that we can thrive. It's so that we can feel alive and good and healthy, so this is all part of it. And so so it's very important that you find a source for that. And when you do find a source for that, you'll be rewarded with great health. The skin will be full of collagen peptides, and you'll have like a full skin. You won't have dark circles around the eyes, and your hormone production will be in balance, which is what we need, especially for men. This is very important. These kind of saturated fats, cholesterols, are a precursor to testosterone. Also in women, this is very important. So our body needs this stuff, yeah? And the brain is, 60% fat, and the vast majority of this fat is saturated types of fats. So it's very good for the brain. Right, Tree Rogi says, reason KFC was great decades ago because they used lard and tallow. Yes, up until the 90s even, McDonald's was using tallow to fry their fries in. They were using tallow. That's why now the fast food back in the 80s and the 90s is not the same as the fast food now. The stuff now is unbelievably toxic. You just can't even, no. Healy Mean says, good morning, everyone, from Southern California, Zone 10B. Nice. Dorothy Fu says, hi, Nate. When you say frying with anything, do you mean pan fried and not deep fried? When deep fried, do you reuse it? Typically, no. I don't reuse it. So deep fried, no. I don't get into deep frying things. Now, it's kind of like a combination. I use a wok. If you go to my Amazon storefront, you will see in there my cooking utensils. And I use a good carbon steel wok. No Teflon, nothing like that. Just pure steel. And the wok is really good for frying stuff because of how responsive it is to the heat sources. And so you can turn it up, whoo, and the way that it's designed, the flame just cradles the whole side of it. And so I'll put oil, this much, just that much of oil. And the wok is designed to concentrate the oil down there at the bottom. So then I will fry stuff in that, yes. But pretty much by the end of it, most of it is soaked up into the meat. And if there's any kind of coating on it, I don't do breading, but if there's like a coating, But then at the end, almost always, unless some of the marinade has scorched, I will take whatever is left and literally pour it directly into the dish. I mean, it seems crazy decadent, but it's really good for you and good in general. And it just makes you feel alive and full of life energy and full of spirit. So, yes. But as far as like classic deep frying where you have like a basket and no, I never do that because that's just a huge waste of oil for me. And my oil is very, very precious. I eat every bit of it. I never throw out any oil because it's precious. VA Green says, good morning, Zone 6B. Completely snowed in here in Appalachian Mountains. Nice. Where at are you in the Appalachian Mountains? Dread says, I like cooking on fire the best. Oh, absolutely, guys. We'll be doing that as soon as the weather clears. We're going to be, and the garden comes again. If you guys want some inspiration, watch my cooking videos, guys. So watch the ones about grill the garden. That is such a good technique. I can't overstate. You need to get on that. The grilled collard greens, the grilled beets, the grilled carrots, everything is phenomenal. So the only difference is that this year we will be using the lard and tallow because I didn't have any last year. I let myself run dry and there was no slaughtering going on at that time, so I didn't have a good connect. But now I got the good connect and I got stocked up. We got tons of lard and tons of tallow, so we are looking very good for the future. Yes, Rachel, Successful Garden Design in the UK says, me too, never waste the good fats. Never waste it, guys. Never waste it. And you can tell this, because I was vegetarian for 2 years and it was very, it was just very different, and so, and I can see if you go back and watch some of my videos, like my master cleanse type videos and stuff, that I was vegetarian during that time. And it just, the subcutaneous fat and the collagen peptides just kind of vanishes from the body. And the hard lines around the face and the eyes and stuff. And so that's how I got really, so I dove deep into the understanding of all of that when I started eating meat again. And that was a big reason for me doing that. My body was just telling me, it started craving meat again. It started by craving raw beef liver. I know that sounds really weird, but I just saw it in the store one day and was like, oh man, something about that just makes my mouth water. And I never really ate liver before. I never did, that I know of. Well, in other countries, a couple times I did, yes, but not like this. So I saw that raw beef liver and was like, oh man. And so I got some and then I let it thaw out and I just sliced it and I put a little bit of maple syrup on it and just eating it raw. And my body was like, whoa. As soon as it did that, it was like it switched back on flips or it flipped back on switch that were dormant for some time. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the way. This is the way. Ginia McD, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. I almost missed that one. Don't be afraid to put a question with the donation. I will give it priority, definitely. Because see, it alerts me up top when there's been a donation. So thank you very much, my friend. Yes. Muddy Paw says, Nate, is the Master Cleanse safe for teeth enamel with all the lemon juice? You will be shocked at what it does for the mouth and the gum health. Yes, absolutely. I know it seems counterintuitive. It also seems counterintuitive for the Master Cleanse if you've got like GERD or you got stomach ulcers, but it's actually designed back in the 40s by Stanley Burroughs to heal stomach ulcers. It heals everything, virtually. And so you will see how pink, how nice and full of life pink the gums and the teeth and the tongue become at the end of the cleanse. So yes, it is not a problem. One time I did the cleanse and I wanted to go hardcore because I always do things extreme just to see the experience. I didn't even brush my teeth during the cleanse. I know that's a trip, but I just wanted to see what the effect was. And it was, well, not super pleasant. I do recommend brushing your teeth during the cleanse, yes. But by the end of that, the gums were so brilliant pink and just healthy looking. And So yes, what was I talking about? Yeah, and it got me back on. So the raw liver got me back onto the meat, and then I started making the bone broth, and then the bone broth set it off, guys. Oh my gosh, it was just like a nourishing life force. When I would sip the bone broth, my whole body just was like embracing it. It was a feeling. It was like, yes, we've been missing this for so long. 2 years you've been denying us these animal proteins and these collagen peptides. You've been eating lentils and rice and lots of coconut oil, lots of olive oil, and it was fine. I felt great, but it was nothing like once I started incorporating proper stuff back into my diet. That's when everything just whoa. So now, that being said, I still love me some pistachios. Now, yes, these are shelled, roasted, and salted. I know that's the least desirable state for nuts is roasted and salted, but I cannot find pistachios without being roasted and salted. So I'm fine with it, and this is what Costco sells. So the only ingredients, pistachios, sea salt. That's it. And they say sea salt. That's very important. And look at how many minerals, guys. What other food do you know? None of the other nuts are filled with this many minerals, vitamins and minerals. Look at that. And we're talking only 1 ounce. 1 ounce, which is like a handful, 2 handfuls. And we're talking 15% of your daily value of thiamine, B6, 20% of the daily value. Copper, 45% of your daily value of copper. Now, guys, this is all going to be bioavailable. So this nutrients right here is light years better than virtually any kind of tablet or vitamin supplement that has been, manipulated and manufactured and stuff, because the body knows exactly what to do with it. And do you notice that hopefully you can see it, look how all these vitamins and minerals are in different ratios. Do you see? It's not 100% of every single one, like there is a lot of times in the vitamins. This is because nature has designed already our body to function perfectly with whole foods, and every one of these things are in a perfect ratio. And that's what bioavailable means, really, is that, so a lot of things for the absorption of thiamine, I'm just using an example. For the absorption of thiamine, maybe you need a certain ratio of magnesium or a certain ratio of selenium for those to be absorbed properly. And we know this from growing. We know how it functions in plants. I know this from my time growing hydroponically as well. I know how all this functions. And so we see these specific ratios. That's what bioavailable means. The body can use all that stuff. So we are going to grub on some of these, that's for sure. Yes, Missy Chaco says, we've completely switched to Redmond salts, even for curing our meats. Nice. That is good. Yeah, and to clarify, one time on one of my reels, it was on Instagram. If you haven't checked out the Instagram, go ahead and follow that. But some people were all up in arms that I used pink salt. I said pink. I said pink Himalayan salt, but a couple of people were like, that's disastrous for the body. I can't believe that you're recommending to people to consume pink salt and all this. And I was like, what are you talking about? Okay. First of all, I would never recommend anything that I didn't already know was the real deal. And so I explained to them, sea salt, pink Himalayan salt, comes from an ancient seabed. So it is sea salt, technically. It just evaporated 200 million years ago. And so it's got all the 82 different minerals that the body requires for absorption in the right ratios. Remember, just like this stuff, in the right ratios for absorption. And blah, blah, blah. People were all up in arms. You know how they do on Instagram and stuff. But I come to find out, though, that what they are referencing is what is called pink salt in meat curing, which I didn't realize is another name for sodium nitrate or potassium nitrate, saltpeter. So yeah, very, very detrimental. Nothing I would ever recommend. Pink salt, which is almost like a slang term for the sodium nitrate or potassium nitrate. It's a nitrate. So it's definitely something that you want to avoid. But they were getting it confused. Maybe willingly they were just being facetious. But yeah, so there's a big difference. But pink Himalayan sea salt is wonderful. Okay. Right. Mick Hegarty says, okay, when people are talking about pink salt, they are talking about saltpeter, which is potassium nitrate, right? Yes. And which they used to give to the soldiers to sort of hamper down their libido. I mean, I read that in a book one time. But anyways, yes. So they're talking about saltpeter, right, which is absolutely nothing that we will ever be using for food applications. So whenever I say pink salt, I mean pink Himalayan sea salt, which is sea salt. So so Jerry says, does Redmond make good grade as well as livestock? Food grade as well as livestock? I don't know. I'm not sure of that. Jerry Bates says, hi, y'all. Just checking in. I've been watching videos about dictators, and when a new regime comes in, starvation is the first result as power gets transferred. It seems no one was prepared. That's a wonderful statement to be aware of. Absolutely. And especially if you watch my latest Travel Like a Viking video, which I put a link in the description to, you can see my experience just touring the Cambodian killing fields and feeling the gravity of what had happened during that Khmer Rouge regime. And it was forever left an imprint on me, definitely. And you can see in the video, I illustrate all of that. And so, yes, starvation. Starvation is been used as a tool for millennia. And so what do? We begin growing as much of our own food as possible, and we make the relationships and the connections necessary for others to grow it with us. You know, we're all we are social beings, of course. Social beings in the sense that we cannot survive without other people. Yes. I mean, in the sense that if a baby is born and nobody touches it, it dies. You know what I'm saying? We are dependent on other people. And so we need to build the community. Tammy Fisher says, sounds like Nate may be listening to Dr. Ken Berry about the proper human diet. Now, not in particular, but I absolutely have listened to plenty of Dr. Ken Berry. Yeah, it's a myth, how he says, that is a myth. Talking about, but some things I'm not in line with about, you know, he kind of has to make a platform. He's talking about how store-bought bacon is a superfood, and I'm sorry, that's just not true. I mean, real uncured bacon or real bacon that you're making yourself, absolutely. But the nitrates and all the garbage are you trying to tell me Oscar Mayer bacon is a superfood? I'm sorry. But I understand what he's saying. But lots of information from Dr. Ken Berry, in particular about reverse osmosis water. Go watch, type in Dr. Ken Berry reverse osmosis, and he will put to rest and it makes sense. He will put to rest the whole thing. Oh, you can't drink RO water because it pulls minerals from the body, which a lot of people want to say that. I never believed that really, but there was so many people saying that I had to investigate it. And then when I saw Dr. Ken Berry's video about it, the natural intelligence within me, the innate sort of intelligence of this organism was like nodding its head. It was like, yes. Okay, this all makes sense. This feels right. And so that was enough for me. That's end of story. And I've been drinking straight RO water for 6 months since I've got that purifier that is amazing, by the way, guys. I consume so much more water because it's on tap. And turn it on, boom, no problem. It's in the Amazon store. Oh, it's even in the links in the description of the video. Just check it out. Oh, yeah. At first, RO water can taste flat, but that goes away. That goes away over time. Until now, it just tastes so pure and so light. So when I drink a cup of city water now, you can just, oh my goodness, it's just got so many different things going on in it. Cloud99 says fungus gnats. Mix diatomaceous earth in seed starting mix or mix hydrogen peroxide in spray water. Yes, you can. Definitely, those can work. Also, you want to change your conditions. If somebody had a question about fungus gnats, you want to change your conditions. You want to keep the food from being there for the fungus gnats, and that is the fungus. But also, the larvae eat the roots of the plants, so they can be an issue. Now, one thing that I have found that helps is labs. Water your seedlings with a stout solution of labs. Maybe 3 or 4, maybe 3 ounces a gallon even. And that will typically eat away at the fungus, and it just kind of hampers their party. So that's what I use. But really, the number one thing to use is your climate control. That's what you want to use the most for fungus gnats. Let's see here. Melanie Dennis, this is a good statement. Yes, guys, read that. I like it. Because I agree. Ancient sea salt. So let's see. Big West says ancient sea salt is made before Industrial Revolution and pollution. Has to be a better source than generic sea salt. I saw iodized sea salt. Why? I know. Because they want to jump on the sea salt train. So iodized, but sea salt's already got some iodine in it. But you can rest assured, just like this, you see, this is such a perfect visual example of what bioavailability really means, is that in these nuts, all these minerals are present, but in different specific ratios. And that's important. We can't just extract only the selenium, 100% selenium, okay, but you don't have all these supporting minerals with it. And because sea salt is used, it's going to have all those minerals as well. So it's triple wonderful. Okay. Muddy Paws says, Nate, how long does labs last in the fridge? You want to make it about a month, give or take. It'll lose its veracity after that. And I know this because I used labs to make labs many times. And after about 4 weeks, it doesn't want to make it as nearly as strong. And it spoils more, turns rancid more. So you want to use it up pretty much within a month. Now, if you've got a bunch in there that's several months old, just put it on the compost pile and make some fresh stuff. I mean, you get the cheese anyways. Dread says, I've seen them saying Epsom salt, sea salt. Yeah, that would be really difficult to do. Well, actually, Epsom salt is made from from evaporating a type of water. Epsom salt is like a natural salt. It's from magnesium springs, so it's magnesium sulfate. Lita Knows says, we have a boil water notification. Would RO help to negate? I am looking into RO. Yes. Now, this isn't medical advice or anything. Follow your boil water thing. But if I got a boil water notification, I wouldn't even think twice about it. Because my RO system, RO RO and distillation are the two that really, distillation will remove everything. But it's a big process, and it's not like on demand. And so I have distilled water and stuff, but then it always feels like you have to be sparing with the water, because then you got to distill more. I like having this thing, you flip it on, blah, just as much water as you want. And I'm still blown away by living in the mountains for those years with no running water and stuff. The fact that I can just come in here and flip on the water, it just still blows my mind. Even though I've been back several years now. But the RO forces the water through a membrane. So the RO is the only thing that can remove basically all of the fluoride, chlorine, chloramines, all that stuff RO will remove. And the one that I have, has also a ultraviolet sterilizer as well, just to ensure anything, if it ever got by, it gets blasted by the ultraviolet on its way out. So check out that, the link in the description, and just check them, see. Sean Murphy says, what about saturating labs with blackstrap before chilling? Yeah, now mixing labs with blackstrap is a good fertilizer solution, yes, but that does not prolong its storage. The only way that we can prolong its storage, theoretically, even though I've done it so many times and it just never even seemed to really prolong it that much, is you have to use, according to KNF, and this is how I did it, is that you have to super saturate it with brown sugar. And it's very important, though, actually. And you'll see this year when we're making FPJ, fermented plant juice, in the spring, you will see that it's important, and I'll explain this in the video, why we have to use the brown sugar. It is because of the osmotic pressure of solution. And so we mix the sugar with the stuff, and the osmotic pressure will pull any moisture and stuff out of the cells of the plant material and out of the labs and stuff. It totally transforms it, makes them go to sleep, essentially. Think in that way. And so we don't supersaturate anything with molasses. In fact, KNF, Korean Natural Farming, never uses molasses. That is like a thing that some people have added to it. All right. So, Pam, good to see you here, my friend. Says, oops, I'm late watering the plants. Had extreme weather of flooding, hail, and terrible heat in between. The poor tomatoes and other plants. But the weeds, of course, are thriving. Oh, yeah, the weeds will be thriving, definitely. Dread says, I seen a hammerhead worm. Have you seen one? In person, I've never seen a hammerhead worm. No. Pilar says, what is labs? My friend, you've been a foundational member of this tribe for months and months, and you're not making labs yet? So guess what? You can get on the lab train. Eclectic Cabin, hello, my friend. Good to see you here. And yes. Mick says, Garden Like a Viking has a great video on making the cheese to get the labs. Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm still getting this question from a lot of people because I put it in the video, the original labs video. I'm still getting this question from people. Hey, when are you going to show us how to make the real cheese? And like I explained, I think last week or the week before, I don't believe in that way anymore because it requires heating it too much. I mean, you have to heat it up so that all the lactic acid, all the benefits of that perish. And you have to add the salt, and then it becomes like a protein. I mean, it's cheese, and you can also add different enzymes to make it cheddar cheese or more Swiss type, though not true. None of it will be true cheddar or Swiss. But so I've just stopped doing that because you get all the benefits in the world when you're eating the fresh, living cheese. So I don't even want to promote that. Smoking Chiba says, well water is better than RO. Well, that really depends. And around here, absolutely not. In Northern California, when I was living in the mountains, way out in Humboldt County, pristine. The creeks were clear. You can drink from the creeks and streams. We had artesian wells, which are like a spring. It's like a seasonal spring, and so that is really good. That's the best of all. That's the best, period. Because it does have the natural earth minerals in it. But well water, especially in flat industrial lands, absolutely toxic in my opinion and experience. Because People say, oh, no, it gets filtered through rocks and stuff. No, I'm sorry, my friends. We have been, if you drive through Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, no. You just, well, even Kansas and all that stuff, there's no way because it's flatland. We've been dumping toxic chemicals for 50 to 100 years now already. And you're going to try and tell me that it doesn't make its way 20 feet down into the water table? Absolutely it does. Filled with toxic chemicals. Farm chemicals that they can't even remove with natural processing or with processing methods on a mass scale. That's why when we get our water quality report, even though we live on the convergence of 3 rivers here, we're very fortunate with water. Always has water in this area. We get a water report and it shows all these chemicals, atrazine and all these other sort of farm chemicals, glyphosates and all that stuff. And it shows that it's within allowable amounts. Yeah, well, these amounts are allowable. Why are they allowable? Well, because we can't get them out. That's why because they have to be allowable. Because it would cost too much money to process the whole thing to make all of the city's water RO water. So therefore, we're just going to rewrite the regulations and we're going to say, well, this amount is safe and allowable. Okay, well, I don't believe that to be true, but that's why I'm going to do RO instead. So they can't remove this stuff. And that's why they call them forever chemicals. And they're saturated in our rivers. They're everywhere. We bathe in them. It's just unbelievable. I mean, people would look back at this time 1,000 years from now and just in awe and just think how primitive and insane are they. They thought that they could grow their food by spraying and slathering poison all over it. That doesn't even just saying that out loud doesn't sound like that's going to work. Yeah, let's just use toxic chemicals we used during World War II to kill people. Now we're just those same companies are just now gonna become fertilizer companies for our food. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, okay, that sounds like it's gonna work, doesn't it? No, it doesn't sound like it's gonna work. But we have to, because the populations have grown so massive and nobody farms anymore in relation to how many people used to farm. Most people used to be farmers on small holdings of 5 acres or less, and they grew a diversity of things. They had a cow, a couple hogs, some chickens. They had a few different plants, different kinds of plants, stuff like that. That is how we survive. That is how we thrive. But now virtually nobody's a farmer. Nobody even knows how to grow food, hardly. And they're totally separated from the most fundamental skill that the human being needs, growing and acquiring food, raising food. And so they've outsourced the most important thing in their life to some, I don't know, the store. I don't know. People don't even know where the food comes from. And so this is going to become a major problem at some point. Because now the techniques, they have to use these heavy machines. They have to use these chemicals and stuff because the whole system revolves around it. They're in too deep. They can't farm otherwise. And it's going to be a real crap show here in another couple decades when the soil just stops yielding. And it will. It will. It's inevitable. With the current way of doing things, the soil, it's not going to matter how much fertilizers you put on, chemicals you put onto it. It's just not going to yield. And that's going to be a major, major issue. Sean Murphy says, if we are here 1,000 years from now. Yo, absolutely. Yeah, that goes without saying. That's a big if. There will be some of us, of course, because the human being is very resilient. But the modern way of doing things, the life that we're living now is just unbelievable, guys. If you're not aware, go to the channel Nate Hagens. Yeah. And just watch what he talks about, the carbon pulse. I don't agree with everything that he says, of course, but that doesn't matter. A lot of what he says really resonates with my innate intelligence, but also with my life experience of traveling throughout the world. I've seen the scale of the human endeavor, and it is just defies comprehension, totally defies comprehension, what we have done to the planet, the system that is sustaining us. So yeah, check out some of Nate Hagen's videos. Definitely. Well, he's got a lot of good things to say. Watch the ones like his carbon pulse video, and just then we'll talk about it at some point. Yes. F. Kitty says that is because people have been conditioned to believe soil is dirt, when it really means soil equals all the things that live in the dirt. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's why, man, when people call soil dirt, I'm like, no, dirt is what's under your fingernails. Soil is a combination of sand, silt, and clay with microorganisms bursting with life. SK says the many shapes of the carbon pulse. Is it that one? Perhaps it is. Yeah, he's made several of them, but definitely that one will work. Yes, that one will work. You just, if you guys are like me, I'm constantly acquiring new knowledge every day. And so any free time I have, not free time, I never have any free time in the sense that I'm always doing something with a purpose. And so when I cook from scratch every day, it takes a long time. I'm always listening to those kind of podcasts. I just put it on. Once I recognize that someone's got something valuable to say and that I resonate with that personality, then I'll just listen, and just some things aren't congruent with my life experience, but that doesn't matter. But many things I absorb, and so it's wonderful. And so, yeah, I'm always trying to learn something new, acquire something new. That's why I'm always taking courses, online courses. I'm always getting books, if I see that somebody is an expert at what they're doing, and I check them out a little bit and say, okay, this person is an expert in their field or in their lane or in their craft, then absolutely I will get a book, guys, because it can be 10 years of knowledge and experience somebody distills into a book. And so then I will get that from reading their book, or taking their course. You can absolutely guarantee that I'm all about that. And so winter swimming, just going through highlighting. I'll read the whole book. That's how I do it. I speed read the book, highlight what I find is valuable, and then I go through again and just read the highlights. And it's really a wonderful way to just absorb so much, because I'm not an expert in this person is the expert, but I understand how it functions, how it feels, how to practice it, what it feels like for me. So yeah. And this person goes on about the adrenaline, the endorphins, the noradrenaline, the brown fat activation, the dopamine, the serotonin, all the effects of cold immersion. Yeah, Dr. Susanna Soberg. If you're not following her on Instagram, do it. If you're into the cold training thing, I understand this is not the Thrive channel, but it's all the same, guys. It's all the same. If you want to thrive in your life, growing your own food is one element. What you put into the body is another element. Cold training, contrast therapy is another element. It's all the same. Diamitri Saraswati, hello my friend, says, hi Nate, I have acquired so many skills over the years. I'm learning to repair antique clocks at the moment. Well, that's very particular, but cool, very cool. And that's what I love. I greatly respect that in people. When you see people that are always in the pursuit of a higher level of understanding, I love that. Especially like in older people and stuff. It's, some people just kind of, they'll just sit there and watching TV. Well, this is my life, okay, and complain about things and watch politics and stuff like that, instead of just putting all that nonsense to the side and learning a new skill, doing something that exercises the elasticity of the mind and the brain. We need to constantly be forming those new neural connections in the brain. This is very important. And how do you do that? You learn new things. You do something you've never done before. And every time you're doing that, it's forming new connections, neural pathways. Yes, if you don't know Dr. Joe Dispenza, I recommend that you get into his work. Definitely. I've read several of his books, watched countless podcasts and all that over the years from him. Also Bruce Lipton, all of this. And then you retain and you just feel it, and it all just impacts your life, and then you can share it with others. So, Big Wheel Dog says, Nate, my house was built on former cornfield, and then a thick layer of clay was put on top before the building. Needless to say, scared to not grow in raised beds tubs. Yes, now I understand how that goes. Fortunately, that can be reversed, which I will probably show when we get the land and the ranch and the school. It's all one. I envision it probably will be some kind of reclaimed farm, a land that we will have to go in and heal. And that'll be part of the journey. I will show you guys how we can do it in just a few seasons. We'll take depleted, disgusting, poisonous farm field and turn it into thriving, food-producing land in just a handful of years. That's going to happen. So it's totally possible, though, my friend. You can do it. But yeah, in the meantime, raised beds is the way to go. Yes, Creative Soil says, I'm carving a toucan with a chainsaw. Nice. See, Creative Soil, Hamburger Hippie, he is also into pushing the boundaries of what can be experienced in life and allowing the creativity to flow through. Carving a toucan out of a chainsaw, that's very particular, and that's, so all the skills required for that, all of the expression of energy and creativity, that's a wonderful practice. And I also know he's into the cold training because he's on the Thrive channel. SK says, there are ways that can fix clay soil without going double dig or raised. They all require an enormous amount of work, though. Pretty much true, yes. But or if we have time, if we have the time, the first year we plant sunflowers. We plant a huge, thick crop of sunflowers. Once the sunflowers go down, then we're going to plant winter rye and have it be over the winter time. And then we're going to alternate that for a couple of years. And we're going to remove, if it's really toxic, truly toxic, we're going to remove that stuff and dispose of it. But it's not going to be that toxic unless like you live in East Palestine or something like that. Ohio with the train wreck, you remember all that stuff? If it's not like that toxic, then you can compost all that material, be making compost yourself as well. You leave the roots in the ground, and then we're going to cover it after a couple seasons of that. That's really going to help to heal the soil a lot. And then we're going to cover it with the leaf mulch, and then we're going to plant our stuff into it. And we're going to always keep the soil covered. We're going to use the zero chemicals, of course, and things like the aerated compost tea, the Jadon microbial solution, all of this. And in just a few years, your stuff will be amazing. Dimitri says, lots of creativity here. I'm a weaver and love my loom. I'm part of an online academy so I can keep learning. Fantastic. That's a very cool skill, the weaving. I've observed that in the villages. I've never done it myself, but amazing. Jenny says, can I use olive oil for JWA? I try to avoid the toxic from canola oil. Do I need to change the ratio? Thanks so much. If you've got the money, I mean, yeah. If you've got the money to use olive oil, then yes, absolutely you can use olive oil. You don't got to change anything. Just use it. Yeah. And I probably, now, because when I was first making JWA, I was like, and first making these videos, it was a real tight budget, like almost a zero budget. But now I would use olive oil. Maybe that'll be another video, maybe next year sometime. But I would use a different kind of oil. I would not be using canola oil, just because of what it is. SK says, I'm talking much faster than that. Got to get creative about how to get the clay layer without disrupting the soil above. Okay. Yeah. Go to the Discord chat and elaborate on that if you would like. Put it in like the fertilizer section or something. And see what other people say with pictures as well. Jeffrey says, Nate, I've heard it's not good to plant sunflowers by crops, probably meaning vegetable crops. Is that because it's pulling heavy metals from the soil? I've actually never heard that. And I don't know why that would be said. Other than the fact that they will totally shade out and act like a privacy fence to your other crops if they're right next to them. That's why I don't. I'll put a couple of the because of how much the pollinators love them and because of how much the bees love them. The bees, of course, pollinators, but in particular the big fat carpenter bees, but also the birds. At the end of the year, the birds love it. So that is what I will do. But I don't know why that would be otherwise. Drew Black, how about rotational grazing to improve soils? Absolutely. Guys, if you have the capabilities, and as we will when we get the land, to have livestock and do it in the appropriate way, absolutely that can help to improve the soil. Definitely. Because it's getting that compaction into there. It's getting that particular type of compaction, not heavy machinery type of compaction, but from the hooves. It's getting it worked in there. And the urine and the feces, the manure and all that stuff, super good for the soil. And we need that. So yes, you can absolutely do that. Big West says, I started to watch Travel Like a Viking vids. All right, my friend. If you guys are watching those videos and enjoy them, leave me some comments. We need to get those. So if you're watching every video that you watch on the Travel Like a Viking channel, leave a comment. Yeah, that will help grow the channel. Because I think that Travel Like a Viking channel can get us another one of these. I really do believe that. I almost believe, I believe that as like an inevitability. So we might as well start making it happen. So yeah. Leave me some comments on those videos. I'm just sharing my life experience, and it won't be too long in the story before, as long as I can keep putting them out every Friday, it won't be too long in the story before Humboldt and that whole life is going to start to show itself. And then you'll start to see pictures that are a little bit crazy, and then eventually the whole thing is going to get totally insane. The whole story is going to get insane. JB says, they say sunflowers are allelopathic. That may be true. That may be true. Yeah. I've never planted them so close to anything that I've had that experience. I just haven't. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've planted like greens under the sunflowers, but I can't say for sure. So that might be true. I know that's true with fennel, guys. I know that's true with fennel from experience. Every year, wherever the fennel is, nothing else around it thrives as much. So, a couple of things, guys. If you're looking for a good natural sweetener, jaggery. Yes, this is just sugar canes that have been juiced, and then the juice of the sugar cane is just boiled down. Nothing is removed or added whatsoever. And it's very delicious, very sweet. It's a good sweetener when you're cooking, when you're making stir fries or sauces of any kind. Very good. It's so good. It's kind of like a maple sugar. Have you ever had that? Except very different. It's got all the molasses in with it as well. So it's a great natural sweetener. Good bioavailability. All right. Man, very good. I just wanted to say that. And I think that I put it into the Amazon storefront. Juggary. Okay. Juggary. Something like that. There's like a double G in it. It's a Juggery. It's that kind of thing. So it's very big in India. Also, when the British had colonized India, they were using it in their tea, that kind of thing. So very beneficial. And we don't have to worry so much when we use these kind of sweeteners, and also this kind of sweetener, which is molasses, straight up organic unsulfured blackstrap molasses. Look how thick that is, guys. The minerals in there. We don't have to worry about sugars are poison in the body and stuff like that. So long as we've already purified ourselves and our diet is on point. The only kind of sugar I ever get, except for when I go to my brother's house and he makes cake or something like that, is this kind of stuff and the maple syrup. So see, even that's a nice thick grade B, former grade B maple syrup. And so these kind of sugars, we don't have to worry so much. We're not like, oh no, we don't have to count the sugar and worry about the glycemic index because it's got all the bioavailable stuff with it. It's like the difference between using table salt, which is just sodium chloride with some iodine added back into it, stripped of all the other 81 different minerals. So the body doesn't know how to process that. And that kind of salt messes with the body big time. This kind of sweetener is the same way. Compared to, in the salt analogy, compared to the sea salt, it's got all the different minerals for absorption, so it's very good for the body. These are very good for the body as well. Don't make a mistake of putting all sugar into one category. Because remember, the only fuel for the body is sugar. I mean, it converts it, but that's the only thing that is burned eventually. So especially, guys, the magnesium in this is the world's greatest digestive healer, as far as stool softener in a way, but just more like regulator. What it does to the digestion process is so important. The magnesium that is found in this type of molasses really helps the perisystolic movements of the intestines. And so you want to get the stuff out of you guys. You want to be regular every day. No problem. No strain, no nothing like that. And magnesium is very important. Now, a magnesium supplement isn't going to help you nearly as much as this bioavailable magnesium will. Okay? So, let us see. Look to Nature says, Pilar, you're going to have fun with the labs. Just smells your rice. Wash water daily. Right, yeah. Mine finishes in 3 days, where a lot of people go 5 days. Yes, it's all about that smell, Pilar. When you're doing it, you got to get it right at that point, that 1 day, 12-hour window where it just switches to be smelling soured. Okay? A couple more things, guys. Look. You know what these are. These are those Tabasco peppers, and they are still kind of fermenting, but we're going to let it go. So we're going to combine this now with an equal part at least. So we're going to start with an equal part of vinegar. And you can use apple cider vinegar. You can also use white vinegar. Apple cider would probably be the best because it's alive. Yes. But white vinegar, some people really like the taste. Classic Tabasco sauce uses white vinegar. The apple cider vinegar can be a different taste. So you could also do half and half. And then we're going to add a bunch more salt to it. So we're going to add a whole liter, quart, which is what this jar is, of vinegar to the blender. And then we're going to put at least 2 tablespoons of sea salt. We're going to start with that. And we're going to blend it all up. And then we're going to allow that to become mellowed for several weeks, several months actually, ideally, at room temperature. That can be stored at room temperature and mellow out. Or you can put it in the refrigerator, and it will be so delicious. This is garlic. I also have one without garlic. But I'm just saying, now is pretty much the time. See, 11/10, November 10th is when we started fermenting this stuff. And so it's totally ready to go. Just letting you know. Jeremy Ransom says, we don't use regular table type sugar for our jams. We now use raw honey. Wow, does that work the same? That would be wonderful. Angela Adams says, thrive, travel, and garden. That's right. That's right. It's because it's multifaceted. Yeah? It's garden like a Viking, travel like a Viking, thrive like a Viking. Kind of the culmination of all of it. We do a live stream every Monday at 10:30 a.m. on the Thrive channel. So you can join us for that, guys. We're doing chapter 3 of The Power of Now on Monday. We're going to be doing that. So If you want to get caught up, get The Power of Now, read chapter 3. And if you have any questions, make note of them, and then we will talk about it on Monday at 10:30. Yeah. Tricia Houston says, your channel is a Mother Earth send. I have learned so much here. That's wonderful, my friend. I'm happy you are here and happy you are benefiting. B. Hendricks says, family like a Viking. Whoa. That may be coming down the road. We don't know. But we got to get the land first before any of that can happen. So, Sean Murphy says, important to talk about pH in relation to ferments. What would you like to talk about? Because I actually never check the pH or bother anything about pH anymore. pH used to rule my understanding of everything. Soil, ferments, fertilizers, all of that stuff. But over the years, I've come to a very different understanding. But that being said, maybe there is some technique about pH and ferments. I just have never needed to do any of that because everything always works out just fine every time now, pretty much. So another thing, guys, you can dehydrate. Remember, I know a lot of you know this. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This year we smoked them with red oak. So it's got a real pungent aroma. And these are dehydrated. These are the Ivarski pepper from Baker Creek seeds. And I'm really happy with them. I will probably grow them again. They're a thick, meaty pepper that is really good for smoking and dehydrating. It makes a wonderful smoked paprika because there's no spice to it. It's a sweet pepper, but not super sweet. So it's good for fresh eating as well, but it's wonderful for the dehydrating. And each plant produced a lot. So Ivarski peppers from Baker Creek seeds, I can highly recommend those. Super delicious. And you want to, and then remember, guys, your powders and stuff, you want to leave them whole. And then as you need them, only put in the blender about enough that you're going to use in a month. Because after that, it tends to go stale after it's been oxidized. You will get the most flavor for the longest amount of time if you leave them whole. This is very important. Okay, Tammy Fisher says, personal experience with sunflowers. They will definitely stunt tomato plants within 3 feet. Okay, well, there you go. If that's Tammy's personal experience, then that is her personal experience. Now, I don't have that same experience, but I've never tried that. So, but it makes sense, especially with tomatoes, guys. Tomatoes are so sensitive. Man, out at my uncle's garden farm, we planted a whole row of tomatoes, like 70 feet from a black walnut tree, and still they were just destroyed by the juglone. It was a giant tree, but still they were just destroyed by the juglone. Angela Adams says, starting the cleanse. She's talking about the master cleanse. Thank you. Got the ingredients, but the grading of the maple is confusing. When it comes to the maple syrup, just get the darkest one possible. It's all grade A now. It's all marketing, but it's all grade A. But you want grade A, very dark, robust taste. You want to look through it and not be able to see light. That's ideal. But if you're concerned, then you should mix it about equal parts with molasses. And that's going to ensure, even if you've got a real light maple syrup, that molasses has got way more minerals than the maple syrup does. So when I do the master cleanse, I actually do mostly molasses, blackstrap. But most people are like, it tastes burnt, it tastes bitter, but you got to get over all that. Okay, Mick says, I got the Ivarskis this year. Can't wait to grow them. Yes, they're fun, especially if you like grilling the produce. I love grilling them, and they're very good when they're grilled. Look to Nature says, with the survival garden, I leave pH to nature. Absolutely. The only time we need to worry about pH is if we're growing hydroponically. Then it's a totally different ballgame. Regina RN says, I have learned so much here too from Nate and the chat. Thank you guys. Yes, you're very welcome, my friend. You're very welcome. Yeah, so join the Discord as well. It's free. It's like a chat room for the Viking Tribe. So you guys are sharing all kinds of stuff, pictures and everything. So I'm going to come up with some kind of contest, some kind of giveaway. What should I give away though? Some kind of giveaway for like the best garden pictures or something like that. Look at this. Looks the exact same. If you go back 3 months ago and look at the live streams, you'll see these look the exact same. This is the Tahitian melon squash, guys. And these are full of food. And these things just got a tiny little seed cavity in them, only like this big in this whole thing. The rest of it is all meat. It's all meat. It's delicious, guys. So Tahitian melon squash, I recommend highly. You guys growing. Big Wheel Dog says, Nate, can you use sorghum instead of molasses? Now, I don't have enough knowledge on the sorghum. I have a jar of sorghum syrup in there. It does not taste or look or feel as nutrient dense as the molasses, as the blackstrap does. But that could just be the type of rendering process that I have. So I don't actually have enough knowledge to be able to say for sure with the sorghum. So, ooh, Val, give away some of the Viking granular fertilizer. Duh, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yes. Okay, good, guys. Yeah, okay, Lucas is saying give away some of the Viking dry newts. There we go. That's what we'll do. Ooh, Big West says the K-bar. Yes, well, I think Big West would be vying for the K-bar more than anyone. This one has been tried and true by me for many years, guys. When I lived in the mountains, which was like the Wild West, I mean, literally, and you'll see and hear about it in the Travel Like a Viking video when we get to that point. I was wearing this every single day for years, right outside on the hip, right next to the right hand, because it's not only is it a very useful tool, but it sends a particular type of message to other people. And when you're in a hostile type environment, that's how you avoid conflict, is by sending the message that this is not a good target. I am not an easy target. So that kind of thing, that all comes with the traveling. Donald says, thanks for the knowledge, young man. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Can I still be called a young man? 38? I still feel timeless. Mick Hegarty, $20. Thank you very much for the tip, my friend. Says, that's why you need the merch for the giveaways. Yeah, I know. I will be having the merch. By the time the season comes around, I know I've been saying it for like 2 years maybe, but I will. I found a way to do it. So I just need to do it now. Jeffrey says, Nate, perhaps give away some of your favorite seed packs. Potentially, yes. I will give away some of the Egyptian walking onions, definitely. I'll have several different contests because I'll give away a pack of the Egyptian walking onions that we will be selling at the end of the year as well, the end of the season. And some of the Tahitian melon squash seeds. How about that? Yeah? Because over the years, my Tahitian squash have definitely crossed with different squash. So it's a particular type of Tahitian melon squash, actually. So maybe people would want some of these seeds. And each plant, guys, can grow like 7 of these or 12 of these even. So if you give it enough room and nutrients and light, you only need 1 plant per family. But you always want to have at least 2 plants because you never want to put all your squash in 1 plant, all your eggs in 1 basket, just in case something happened to the plant. Elusive323 says, you're only 38, man, still a pup. Yeah. No, I mean, I know. I can see already how it goes. When I was 28, it was like, oh man, I've lived so much life and so much that happened by that time. My God. And I just felt so old and stuff. But now I look back at pictures of me at 28 and I'm thinking, oh, young boy. I was a boy at that time still, you know. So I assume, of course, that I will look back at when I'm 48 and think, wow, you were so young at that time. This is how it works, you know, because of course time isn't actually real. But we talk about that on the Monday Thrive stream, the Thrivecast. Diamitri says, Nate, what about something for us who live outside America in your competition? Ooh, yeah. What would it be like? What would be worthy of a competition? That would probably have to be more something like put pictures into the Discord chat of your gardens or of we'll come up with something, and then I will put those into a main video, into a mainstream video. You know, I'll just do like a 1 minute thing at the end of the video where we show your garden. Yeah, how about that? Something like that. B. Hendricks says, my squash always gets the powdery mildew. Yeah, you got to look out for that. You can use the labs, but the squash, very, very particular to the powdery mildew. Healy Mean says, oh yes, please, the Egyptian walking onions. I haven't been able to find a reputable company or seller, but I trust you. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. We will do that. Because we're going to be, I mean, this is small batch, but it's a way for my uncle to make a little money, for the operation to bring in a little money, you know. So that would be good. So, because it'll be because it's at his place. So we're growing them all out. It's been like 2 years. We're made these 2 big patches of Egyptian walking onions. They're unbelievably hardy, and they grow back every year. They're wonderful. And so when it's time, it will be like August. Then we'll be taking pre-orders all summer, and then you can pre-order and get your stuff reserved. And then when the time comes, boom, we're going to ship them all out at once. So, you know, there's only going to be a certain amount. But Egyptian walking onions, guys, if you don't have them yet, if you don't know what they are, then you need to get some, definitely. Look to Nature says, Nate, you already give us all more than enough. Oh, thank you. I think a line of your seeds would be awesome. Yeah, definitely. We'll do a number of different ones. One where we do the seeds with the Egyptian walking onions. One where we do a photo contest and then you can be in the video. One where we do the grand one will be the Viking Nutrients one, because that will be costly. Definitely. Regina RN, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says, appreciate you spending this time with us, sharing your experiences and knowledge. Yes, likewise. Thank you. Sam Potzik, $2. Thank you very much for the tip, my friend. Says, wisdom. Yes, thank you. So, let's see. Oh, man, look at the time already. It's already been 90 minutes. What? Well, okay. So, let's see here. Is there anything else I'm trying to say here? Mr. Miles says, I'm new around here. Hello. Question. How will we know if the pics are actually their garden? Right. Well, with this tribe, we don't worry about that kind of thing because everyone's pretty much solid. So we don't have to worry about that. And I can just feel, guys, after traveling the world for so long, I've become real good at sniffing out the BS. And so I can tell real quick, real easy. But also, I would just trust everybody that they would be actually from their garden. Everybody that's here right now would never deceive the tribe. At least I hope not. Let us see. We're in northern Indiana, zone 5/6. Pam says, will I be able to get Egyptian walking onions sent to South Africa? I don't know. Maybe if we just don't if we just don't make a big fuss about it, and we just kind of wrap them in stuff and in a little box and send it. I don't know. Big West says YouTube keeps changing the chat to top messages. Switch it to all messages now. 30 more people appear. I'm not aware. Dude, guys, lots of changes are happening in YouTube. Just lots of changes. So we just have to adjust and adapt. But with the advertising and the placement of the ads in your videos, all this kind of stuff. It's changing. So okay, guys, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you share your knowledge in the Discord, your experience in the Discord. Jennifer's dramatic pause says, this channel is great to listen to while I'm working. The only problem is my hands are often wet and I have to dry them off to jot down all the great suggestions. Yes. Well, we're glad you're here. Frank says, so are we done with the electroculture farming? Yes, we are done with the electroculture farming, thankfully, because we're not going to give that nonsense. Well, we're not going to give that any more energy, okay? Instead, we're going to focus on the fundamentals of gardening, which is the soil food web and understanding the cycles of growth and decay, understanding nutrient cycling by microorganisms, understanding how to read the plants, all of this stuff. We're not going to look for a quick fix pill in the electroculture. Look at this, guys. Indiana giant coxcomb. Now, it's been in a window that's received the sun, but the color is actually very vibrant still. It was much more vibrant before the sun kind of bleached it out. But look, if you want to grow these Indiana giant coxcomb, and they're beautiful. They bloom like this from about late July all the way up to frost. Mid-July even, all the way up to frost. Insects all over them, and then you can just cut them, hang them upside down, and they dehydrate like this, and they make wonderful dried flowers. So just wanted to give you that idea, all right? So, okay, guys, well, we will see you right here next Saturday at 12 noon. We will also see you Monday at 10:30 a.m. at the Thrive Like a Viking channel. We're going to discuss Chapter 3 in The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, a spiritual book. And then every Friday, I will be releasing a video at 12 noon on the Travel Like a Viking channel, which there's like 31 videos now. So if you're not caught up, then you can binge watch all those videos if you want. They're all in chronological order, but I put a link in the description to the latest one about the killing fields of Cambodia. So, and that all of that stuff was my firsthand experience. All that stuff is is my life that I lived. You can see with the pictures and videos and everything. So, okay, my friends, thank you very much for everything.